For a long time, humanity believed the universe followed rules we could eventually understand. Every planet, every galaxy, every black hole behaved according to patterns hidden inside physics. Strange sometimes, violent often, but still explainable. Then the James Webb Space Telescope looked into a distant region of space, and found something that may not fit inside reality as we know it. Not a planet, not a star, not even a black hole. What Webb discovered may be something far more disturbing. Because buried inside ancient light from over 10 billion years ago, scientists found distortions that should not exist, patterns that seem to break the geometry of normal space itself. And now, some researchers are asking a question that sounds impossible. What if the universe contains hidden dimensions we were never supposed to see? The story begins inside one of the strangest regions ever observed by modern astronomy, a massive galaxy cluster known as Abell 2744. Scientists sometimes call it Pandora's cluster because of how chaotic and extreme it is. Galaxies collide there. Light bends into giant glowing arcs across the darkness. This cluster acts like a natural cosmic lens, magnifying ancient galaxies hiding far behind it. That is why Webb targeted this region so carefully. Scientists hope to look deeper into the early universe than ever before. At first, everything seemed normal. The telescope captured breathtaking images filled with distorted galaxies, stretched light, and structures formed shortly after the birth of the universe. But the real mystery did not appear in the images themselves. It appeared later, hidden deep inside the data. As researchers processed Webb's infrared observations using advanced analysis systems, they noticed something unusual around certain regions of the cluster. The light was bending incorrectly. Not randomly. Not chaotically. But in patterns. Patterns that repeated. Patterns that did not fully match existing gravitational lensing models. At first, scientists assumed it was noise. That happens often in deep space observations. Tiny calibration errors or interference can create strange visual artifacts. But this time, something unsettling happened. The distortions refused to disappear. Even after recalibration, even after different processing methods, even after independent verification attempts, the structures remained. And the more researchers analyzed them, the clearer they became. That was the moment this stopped looking like a simple observational glitch. Because according to some theoretical physicists, these strange distortions resemble something predicted decades ago inside higher dimensional cosmology. The possibility that extra dimensions may subtly affect gravity itself. Most people imagine dimensions as science fiction portals or parallel universes. But modern physics describes them differently. Hidden dimensions could exist everywhere around us right now, folded into space at scales too small to directly observe. Invisible. Silent. But still capable of influencing reality. And according to some models, under extreme gravitational conditions, those hidden dimensions could leave faint fingerprints in distorted light. Not direct images. Not openings into another universe. Only shadows. Like seeing ripples on water without seeing what moves beneath the surface. That is what makes the Webb observations so unsettling. Scientists are not claiming they discovered another dimension. But they are admitting something far more uncomfortable. Current models may not fully explain what Webb is seeing. And if that is true, then our understanding of space itself could be incomplete. What makes this even stranger is how the anomaly was discovered. Traditional analysis systems failed to notice it. Only newer machine learning methods capable of comparing massive amounts of multi-wavelength data revealed the hidden structures. That raises another disturbing possibility. Maybe these patterns were always there, and humanity simply lacked the tools to notice them. Think about that for a moment. What if the universe has been quietly revealing deeper layers of reality this entire time, but our minds and instruments were too primitive to recognize them? The scientific community remains divided. Some researchers believe the anomaly could eventually be explained through unknown properties of dark matter, gravitational complexity, or observational limitations. Others argue the patterns are too organized to dismiss easily. Right now, teams around the world are reanalyzing the Webb data using independent methods. More observations are being planned. More simulations are being tested. And nobody yet knows what the final answer will be. But that uncertainty is exactly what makes this moment so important. Because the most revolutionary discoveries in history rarely begin with certainty. They begin with tiny inconsistencies. A signal that should not exist. A pattern that refuses to vanish. A crack in the foundation of what we thought was understood. And sometimes, those tiny cracks lead to entirely new views of reality. If these distortions eventually receive a conventional explanation, the discovery will still prove how far humanity has pushed observational science. But if the anomaly survives every test, if it continues persisting known physics, then Webb may have uncovered the first observable hint that reality itself is larger than the universe we experience. The deeper scientists looked into the Webb data, the more unsettling the situation became. Because the strange distortions inside Abell 2744 were not behaving like ordinary gravitational anomalies anymore. They were evolving. As additional infrared layers were processed, researchers noticed faint structural alignments appearing across regions that should have been completely unrelated. Galaxies separated by unimaginable distances appeared connected through subtle patterns hidden inside the warp light itself. At first, the similarities seemed accidental. But then the alignments repeated again. And again. Like invisible threads stretching through space. That was the moment some physicists began asking a terrifying question. What if gravity is not confined to our universe alone? To understand why this idea matters, imagine space as a flat sheet. Everything humanity has ever observed, every galaxy, every star, every black hole exists on that sheet. Now imagine something moving beneath it. You would not see the object directly. You would only see the sheet bending, distorting, shifting in impossible ways. That is exactly what some researchers now fear may be happening inside Webb's observations. Not because another object is hiding behind the galaxies, but because something may be interacting with spacetime from outside the dimensions we can perceive. The theory sounds impossible. Yet parts of modern physics already allow for it. For decades, advanced models like Brane cosmology suggested our universe could exist inside a much larger higher dimensional structure. According to these theories, gravity may leak between dimensions while light and matter remain trapped inside our own. If true, the effects would be almost impossible to detect. Almost. But not completely. Under extreme cosmic conditions, like those surrounding massive galaxy clusters, tiny disturbances from higher dimensions could theoretically alter the behavior of gravitational lensing. Exactly the kind of distortions Webb may now be detecting. And then the situation became even stranger. When scientists compared Webb's observations against older Hubble data from the same region, they discovered subtle differences in how the distortions appeared across wavelengths. The structures were not static. They shifted depending on the energy of the observed light. That should not happen in standard lensing models. Gravity bends all light consistently. Yet these anomalies seem to behave differently, almost as if some deeper structure was interfering unevenly across spacetime itself. Nobody expected that. Because if confirmed, it would suggest the distortion is not caused by ordinary matter alone. Something else may be influencing the geometry of space. Something currently unknown. Inside theoretical circles, discussions became increasingly cautious. Not public announcements. Not sensational claims. Quiet conversations. Private debates. Because scientists understand the danger of overstating extraordinary results. But they also understand something equally important. Ignoring impossible data has delayed major discoveries before. The history of science is filled with moments where reality first appeared as an error. Quantum mechanics once looked absurd. Black holes once seemed mathematically impossible. Even galaxies beyond the Milky Way were once rejected by astronomers. And now, Webb may be forcing humanity toward another uncomfortable threshold. Because the telescope was never designed to search for hidden dimensions. Yet its extreme sensitivity may have accidentally pushed observation beyond the limits where classical models remain stable. In simple terms, humanity may have looked so deep into the universe that reality itself started revealing cracks. And those cracks are becoming difficult to explain away. Some researchers now believe future Webb observations could help determine whether the anomaly is local to Abell 2744 or part of a larger hidden pattern across deep space. If similar distortions appear elsewhere, the implications would become enormous. It would mean this is not an isolated error, not a random fluctuation, but evidence of a deeper structure embedded within the universe itself. That possibility has already triggered discussions about combining Webb data with future observations from the Euclid Space Telescope and the Vera Rubin Observatory. Together, these systems could map gravitational distortions across vast regions of the cosmos with unprecedented precision. And for the first time in history, humanity may begin testing whether spacetime behaves differently than Einstein predicted at the largest observable scales. But perhaps the most unsettling idea is not scientific. It is philosophical. Because if hidden dimensions truly exist, then human perception may only capture a tiny fraction of reality. Everything we see, everything we touch, every galaxy ever observed, could exist inside a far larger structure beyond direct comprehension. Like shadows cast against a wall. And somewhere beyond those shadows, deeper layers of existence may already surround us unnoticed. That idea changes the meaning of the universe itself. It means reality may not be a complete picture. Only a surface. A projection. A visible fragment of something vastly larger hiding just beyond perception. For now, scientists continue searching for answers. More data is coming. More analysis is underway.